Hello, everyone, and welcome in. This is Aaron St. Dennis, the FF Mad Scientist, and welcome back to the Mad Science Lab podcast. Today, we are going to be doing some bold predictions, and here to help me that is the old Game of Thrones man without a face, Thor Nystrom, the man who stood next to me for 20 minutes and was clean-shaven and just went completely unnoticed. You really learned to blend in there, Thor. How's it going?
It's going well. Yeah, he's talking about at the expo where I made the move of it was unintentional. Some people accuse me of doing this intentionally. I swear to God it wasn't. But I went to my barber in town like 2 days before I left for the expo, and I told him, I got my hair cut. But then I was like, I asked for a beard trim, and I was like, just do it like you always do it. And so then he starts going to work on it, and then when he gets done, he points the mirror at me. He put it way, like almost a shave. I mean, it wasn't completely all the way, but it was real close to the skin. And so then when I went to the expo, I was pretty dang near incognito.
Yeah.
I mean, people were not recognizing Thor. And I mean, you were standing right next to me. You did not recognize me.
I told Debro that I stood next to you for 15 minutes and I said, I haven't run into Thor. And he said, well, he's standing next to you. So I turned around, but I've had that. I've gone to shave in the bathroom in the morning before a big, a work event, and my kid bumped into me and you get the, I'm going, well, guess we're going clean shaven. And then you look like you're 12 again and nobody recognizes you. But
there was a whole bunch of people that thought, came and thought I would be like offended that they, whatever, that they missed me or that, they didn't recognize me. Well, I'm sort of the opposite of a networker guy. And so it actually ended up working out quite well for me that I could just sort of slip into the shadows, slip into the background. Yeah. So I quite enjoyed it. Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining me. I know you got a busy day, so you want to tell everyone where they can find you and your work, as if people don't know.
Yeah, you can find me Fantasy Pros, Betting Pros, my college stuff, my betting stuff, stuff like that. And I made my debut today on Fantasy Football Weekly, which is fun. You can find that on, if you're in town here in Minneapolis, on KFan. I hear it's also on the other iHeart Sports. Stations around the country, but also they have a podcast, so you can, if you want to listen to that.
All right, looking forward to it. I'll have to check it out. I know we both had a busy schedule, so we'll see how well prepped we are for this. Got a bold prediction you'd like to fire off, and we can get into that and discuss it quickly?
Yeah, I got a few. Yeah, I don't know how bold this one is, but Dalton Kincaid going to be a top 10 tight end this year.
Ooh.
That would be one. Another one I got is Tank Dell is going to be, he's going to start this year, but that's I mean he ain't started on their depth chart right now, so that's boldish. But I'm going to go bolder. I'm going to times it up, and then I'm going to times it up again. He's going to start on the boundary this year, but I ain't done yet. Tank Dell's going to be a starting boundary receiver, who is the Houston Texans' wide receiver 1 this coming year. Right from the start.
Wow. Where do you think he'll be for fantasy? Think he squeaks in as a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3? Like that's, wide receiver 1 for Houston isn't all that lofty. There's not really anyone there, but
is it going to be like the world's most dangerous attack? I don't know about that. Tank Dell was underrated during the process for sure. Like, I mean, we've been underrated all of his life. 165 pounds soaking wet. But I mean that kid can play. No human being can stay with that guy in space. It's impossible. He does have the size limitations, whatnot, but like he can play on the boundary. It was a misnomer about him, a myth during his pre-draft process, because like you just see the size and you're like, oh, he's a slot. Well, he wasn't a slot at Houston. No college corner could stay with him in space.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just in the AAC, by the way. He friggin' dusted every single Power 5 team he played. And he also dusted the Cincinnati team that went to the college football playoff. And if you're like, oh, that's just they had Sauce Gardner. They had the Kobe Bryant kid on the other side. Yeah. They had 2 NFL safeties as well. Cincinnati had one of the nation's best secondaries that year. And he played Cincinnati twice during his career. He also played a couple Power 5 bowl teams, dusted every one of them. So anyway, big fan of Tank. Tank's gonna have a good rookie season. But yeah, I mean, like as far as like the fantasy thing, like I don't know, like I would have him like I don't know, like
Think he cracks the top 30?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I think like I was gonna say like 25th or 20,
Yeah.
mid to late 20s. Yeah. I mean, like
So
I'm not
solid 3.
yeah, something like that.
Well, yeah, and even what was it? Strode went out of his way to ask for him to be drafted by the
Correct.
Texans, did he not? So
yeah, he asked the front office to draft Tank Dell on that Friday of heading into day 2, and then they were able to get that done in round 3 or whatever. But yeah, I mean, and there's a reason that he wanted Tank Dell. Like he wants a guy that's going to create that separation. Yeah.
Well, it's got to be on the talent. Last I checked, I don't think they crossed paths. Like they didn't play anywhere together, did they, in college?
No,
no. So it was just based on talent. But that's the other thing. I think I spent, before I realized it was you, I must have spent 10 minutes talking. I was in a college only draft, and I'm sitting there and I'm going, man, this guy fucking knows his college football. You know your college. I'll give you that. I didn't realize it was you. And they said, yeah, it's Thor Nystrom. That's why he knows his college. Yeah, he's kind of good at it. I'm like, oh, fair enough. So I'm glad I listened. I think you helped me make one of the picks. So glad I listened.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I don't know another human being alive that watches more college football than me, so I better.
Oh, I don't know how you do it. That's a lot of time. But Dalton Kincaid, I guess we can get back to that one. Yeah. Assuming you're not thinking he's Dawson Knox is much of a worry. What do you think? He's the number 2 in targets on the team, or where do you think he falls?
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, and I said this right when they drafted him that Dalton Kincaid was going to be their wide receiver too from day one. That, like, people, they talk about the Dawson Knox, they don't play the same position, right? Like Dalton Kincaid is a big slot, and he's also going to play some boundary receiver for them. They'll mix and match him. He will never cross-pollinate with Dawson Knox because you can't play Dalton Kincaid inline.
As a blocker? Yeah.
You just can't. Yeah, he will.
He's not a blocker.
Utah tried it a couple of times.
He will get good.
Yeah, he gets mauled. Like he tries. He does try. He's a try-hard kid, but yeah, he does not have the play strength to go up against those war daddies there. He does fine blocking the nickel guys, the nickel defenders, whatnot, but like you don't want him up against the war daddy guys. He's like a basketball player guy. That's why he's such a friggin' stud downfield. Like the body control, different stuff like that. But he's not that kind of an athlete. He's not not a bull, whatever. But like, yeah, he's a big slot who can also play on, like I said, on the boundary. And his ball skills are fabulous. He knows how to run a route, which is surprising because he picked up the sport late. It's why he had to go to the FCS to begin, and then ended up going to Utah during that COVID season, whatnot. But that's why he's a late bloomer, right? It's it's for no other reason than it was like picking up the sport late, whatnot. But yeah, I mean, like he is really, really good, and we got to see him play the boundary at Utah last season. He can do that stuff. The Bills have already talked about they're going to mix and match him with that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like, yeah, he will be on the field at the same time as Dawson Knox, but yeah, Dawson Knox, if like, people that own him, you're just crossing your fingers that he scores a touchdown. Like if you start him, you need Dawson Knox to score a touchdown. Yeah. They're not going to be thrown to him otherwise. Like, you just have to get lucky with that. But Dalton Kincaid's going to get a crap ton of targets immediately. That's why they got him. So yeah, I'm really, really high on him as a rookie.
He seems like a more talented, more high-end version of what Mike Gesicki was, where you knew he wasn't going to block. He was just a big slot receiver that was listed as a tight end. But
he's just so skilled. Yeah, I mean, like he doesn't drop balls. His drop rate was stupid low last year. And after they had this kid named Brant Keithy, more of a like an H-back. You move him around. He's like 6'2", like 245 or so. But anyways, they were giving him a bunch of targets they have the last couple of years. And then, when Keithy got hurt, it was just force every target to Kincaid. And he catches everything. His catch radius is like an Indian god. And all you got to do is get it within the fisherman's net. And he will catch it. Like over his head, to the side, picking it up off the grass. Like as long as you get it within that net, and it doesn't matter if people are hanging on his back, he's going to catch that ball, literally. Against USC, the first game in the regular season, he caught 16 balls for like 250 yards and a couple of touchdowns. That's not the crazy thing, though. The crazy thing is it was on 16 targets. He went 16 for 16. It was such a devastating performance that in the Pac-12 title game, Dalton Kincaid decides to play through a fractured back. He had a fractured back. He plays through it. USC double teamed him the entire game. Even though Dalton Kincaid was gimping through it, he shouldn't have played. But he's a tough kid. So he's like gimping, like he just, oh, sorry, my camera thing went off. But like,
it's all right.
Okay, I'm still on. But like, he's gimping through all of his routes, and it's like, oh man, he shouldn't be on the field. But USC was double teaming him anyway because they had PTSD from the game before. They're like, we're not going to let Dalton Kincaid beat us. And everyone of us watching at home is like, yeah, he can't beat you because he got a fractured back. But they couldn't get it out of their head what had happened to them the game before. So I'm in love with that kid. He's great. As far as another bold one, I'll say this is another one where I tweeted this a second. This guy got drafted, and now there's actually reports about this. So this has become way less bold in the last week. But I just want to check my receipts on this one. Literally, the minute
say Cedric Tillman.
Well, I could do bold on Cedric Tillman. I was gonna do Roshan starts from.
Oh, you don't have to tell me about Roshan. I've been on. I work for Player Profiler. I've been on Roshan. I had him as my RB3 at one point in the rookie class.
Yeah. So the second that Dameon Pierce had gotten drafted, I said something like Dameon Pierce is your what did I say? Dark horse rookie of the year candidate. He's going to start immediately in Houston. And then the second that Roshan got drafted, I quote tweeted the Pierce one and then copy pasted everything, but just put in Roshan's name for Pierce, like whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that kid can play, and he's better than Khalil Herbert and certainly than Foreman. Yeah. But like the Herbert people, you have all these Herbert truthers. It's like, guys, I got more exposure on Herbert than you. Trust me, no one has watched more of Khalil Herbert than this fella. I've watched Khalil Herbert since that kid was coming out of high school. Khalil Herbert is not a better football player than Roshan Johnson. I'm sorry to break it to people.
He must be a loyal kid to stay. I would have loved to have seen how high he could have gone in the draft if he had transferred and not stayed with Bijan. Because like he wasn't just a straight up backup to Bijan. He was taking away legitimate touches against the most highly touted running back since Saquon, and he was still getting work. That's how good he was.
Well, for sure. I actually love it because how would you say it? They love him there. They love him in Austin because that kid went there as a quarterback. He didn't make it as a quarterback. And most people at that time, especially modern college football with the portal, they would have left and tried to be a quarterback somewhere else. He didn't. He switched positions to running back, and he switched positions into a room with literally a generational running back. And instead of then being like, well, screw this, I believe it, he stayed there and played behind Bijan, and he got really good at the dirty work. And like you think of a guy who comes out of high school as like a high 4-star quarterback recruit, and then like he's like cleaning the bleachers and stuff like to get on the field. Like he became an awesome pass blocker. He would be and just a regular block. Like they put him on the field with Bijan where then he would be like lead blocking for him, or they'd motion him around as an H-back so the defense would have to tip its intentions, and then you could do fun stuff with Bijan as well. Like. And then of course, he didn't, like you're mentioning, he didn't get the snap share that he should have, based on his talent. But like, you want to talk about like a guy that did right by the program. I mean, that impressed the heck out of me, but he also developed a skill set that I don't know that he would have if he was just the star the whole time. And then like, a school gives him, 25 touches per game. I don't know if he ever develops then into like an awesome blocker and some of these other areas of the game that he ended up doing.
Even that shows up in training camp because the Bears coaching staff saying, oh, well, we want the running back who's going to be the best all around, the best blocker. I don't know if you've noticed, that ain't Khalil Herbert. That's Roshan Johnson. By far, sure. It's not even close.
But and that was a part of the reason why I knew that he was going to take out Khalil. Because, Khalil is not interested in that at all. And Roshan is a very good blocker. Like in this class, if he wasn't at the top, he was right there, as far as best blocking backs in this class.
All right. Well, I know you got to wrap up. I know you're tight for time here. So you want to say one more time where everyone can find you?
Fantasy Bros, Fantasy Football Weekly, Thor Coup, and my fifth one is Sam Laporte is a god. Sam Laporte everywhere, Sam Laporte of the moon. Love that kid.
I love that one, but I know you don't have time to go further into it. So, well, thank you, Thor, for joining me and squeezing it into your schedule. Once again, I am Aaron St. Dennis, the FF Mad Scientist, and this has been Bold Predictions with Thor Nystrom. Thank you for watching the Mad Science Lab podcast. Thank you, Thor, for taking the time out of your schedule, and thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Take care.